Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Divine Gaming Guide. Today we have some brand new information coming to you all straight from the Ubisoft devs. Today we are going to be discussing the future of HyperScape, including new game modes, console release, and much more. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So on July 3rd, the HyperScape devs went onto Reddit to answer a ton of the community's questions regarding the game. There were a ton of answers given that really help explain some of the goals the dev team wants to accomplish with HyperScape. Now starting off, let's talk about HyperScape console, one of the most frequently asked questions. So when HyperScape was announced, it was said to be releasing to both PC and consoles, but sadly the playtest that started a few days ago was only accessible to players on PC. Even though console play isn't available right now, the devs gave us some insight on when you might be able to play HyperScape on your console. Before I give you guys timeframes, I want to just start this section off by giving the confirmed consoles. Right now, these are Xbox and PS4. I know this does cover most players, but just wanted to give a heads up to any Switch players out there. With that covered, we can now discuss the timeline of console play. Sadly, the developers didn't want to confirm any dates with everything going on in the world right now, but they did say that we could start playing HyperScape on consoles starting this summer. So at most, this will last 3 months more of PC play without console play, but we believe that consoles might be playable sometime around August. Even though you can't play on these machines just yet, if you have a PC, you can still play the game to earn the 10 exclusive Battle Pass tiers for technical testers. Then, once console compatibility gets added, you can carry over your progress. I don't know how great this feature is because a lot of BR players either choose to play on console or PC, there aren't a lot of both. But I guess this feature is in place for the very few exceptions. This is all the console news we have right now, but you can expect way more in the future because console compatibility is a must for a game like HyperScape, entering into a genre of games with the big boys like Apex Legends and Fortnite. Speaking of games like Fortnite, a ton of them have a feature that will be able to track how many wins you have gotten in the different game modes. The developers were asked about whether they were going to add this feature into HyperScape, and they responded with this. The idea of a career profile is something we're looking into doing for the future. It's more a question of when than if right now. This is all the developers had to say, but I can't wait because this is going to be a really cool feature because it's going to be nice to look at all the things like win percentage and maybe even total kills across all game modes. On a completely separate side note, have you all won your first Crown Rush game? Let us know in the comments of this video. But let's jump right back into the news. So our last feature that has been confirmed by the devs is the exclusiveness to Twitch. As many of you know, Ubisoft partnered with Twitch to create this title, and with this partnership, viewers of the game are able to interact with how the game is played. It is a crazy unique feature, but sadly this will not be coming to any other streaming platforms. This will only be usable for Twitch streamers. Now, those were just some features that the devs talked about the other day, but when they were asked about some topics, they had one common thing to say about every single one. They want to hear the community's thoughts on every topic. So for this section of the video, we have 3 possible features, and I want everyone watching this video to go into the comments and let us know whether these features should be added or not. So starting off, we have esports. As many players come from other BR titles such as Apex Legends or Fortnite, they know that this genre of game can be super competitive, and the esports scene, once developed correctly, can become super entertaining to watch. The devs said that in the end, they would like the community to decide, so you already know what to do. But just wait because we have 2 more decisions for you to make. The next questionable feature is more mobility. There's already so much mobility in the game, but when Mr. Doodly Doo asked if there were plans to add wall running / wall jumping, the devs said it was up to the feedback they received. My personal thoughts on this is that if a player wants to jump off a wall, they should have to jump between 2 walls like parkour masters. This would be able to make them gain more movement in alleys, but they won't gain it anywhere else. And then our final feature is skill-based matchmaking. I think I already know the answer to this one, But do you think that games should be made with people of similar skills? Many players hate this in Fortnite, but we will just have to wait and see. So now that we have those 3 features, it's your job to go ahead and comment on the video so that the Ubisoft devs know what you want. This is your chance to change the game, so let's hear those opinions. And before we move into even more news, I want to go ahead and talk about balancing HyperScape, because it feels like this might be the only problem HyperScape has right now. Here's what the devs had to say regarding the topic. The goal of our balancing is to build a game where all weapons are accessible for all types of players, while making sure they have solid depth to please competitive players. We're also focused on designing them in a way to support multiple playstyles. We are closely monitoring the gameplay data and the community feedback right now to keep on top of any exploits or unbalance that arises. Then they were asked how often they planned on doing updates, and they responded that they will say more about the season updates, so like a new battle pass and map changes, but, and I quote, "We're planning to roll out regular balance updates for our hacks and weapons starting with the HexFire." So we officially got our first balance change with the HexFire. And this weapon is sometimes super annoying if you aren't the one using it, so it'll be very interesting to see how the devs decide to make changes to the weapon. Another change that the devs plan on actively balancing is the time to kill. In the current state of HyperScape, it can take a very long time to kill other players if you don't have a fully fused weapon. This is a pretty big problem because right when weapons become fully fused, they laser. The devs just said that they created the technical test to determine the perfect time to kill, so we might be receiving a change come official release. Moving on to another huge topic in HyperScape, we have more game modes. Now I plan to go in depth about how we're getting a solo mode, but that already released today, before we release this video. We do have one more game mode that might be coming pretty soon. Let's take a look at what the developers had to say about hints to a new game mode. You asked for a clue, so I will be very obscure. Maybe we should do something with these 4 lobbies. This is crazy because each lobby has 99 players. So if we do a ton of hard, difficult math, we can determine that 4 lobbies is 396 players. And with the hint, it sounds like they might want to combine them all to make one gigantic, hectic mode. All I have to say about this is if they want to do this, then they need a way bigger map. The game already feels like you constantly find players, but who knows if I'm even right about this hint. What do you think the hint means? Let us know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, be sure to subscribe with notifications on because we are uploading daily HyperScape content you don't want to miss. That's going to wrap it up for this HyperScape news video, and I'll see you all in the next one.